drinking age?
The games that we're trying to have there are basically for kids.
Yeah.
To keep the kids entertained while the parents are trying to enjoy a meal.
That would
So
be the
we-
foyer area,
Well,
Correct.
it's
I
like,
understand.
it's a waiting area.
a waiting area.
So there's
Okay.
2 race car games there
Yeah, those are strictly for kids.
for
Right,
kids.
right. But when you get into the bar area, would the kids have access to those games?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
they
guess so.
would.
And is there a difference in the content of the games in an area where there's, for adults, which a bar area would be for adults?
I guess there would be, I mean, the most,
The only game that might be an issue is the buck
the
hunt.
Buck Hunter, which is a little bit more adult-oriented, but even so, that has a mild rating on the standard scale. And also incidentally, all of these, anytime we put equipment on the street, it's all been approved by the state of Massachusetts and given an M number.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess, you didn't answer the question regarding the equipment in the bar with a lot of certainty with respect to children being able to go into the bar area.
Well, they,
It's, I guess I'm confused as what we're calling the bar area, because this
Well,
place,
It's your building.
right, no, I'm
so-
just saying, when you walk in, it's a big open room with a bar
Right.
in it, so, there's a bar in both rooms. So, these games are in one side of the establishment.
Maybe I don't know the law in this case as far as children having access to the bar. I really don't know the answer to that. I assume that there are some restrictions, but maybe there aren't. So if the parents are eating at the bar, for example, can a
Yeah.
child eat at the bar?
No.
no,
Okay, so they can't be at the bar.
no.
So is there a zoning, lack of a better word, that children are not allowed to be in a bar area? Now, if you have a bar here and you have tables all the way over there, that's a little bit different, okay? But take, for example, the Horseshoe. All right, they have the restaurant, the foyer, and then they have the bar, and then they have tables around, away from the bar.
Right.
Okay. I don't know if children are allowed in that environment, and I don't know if that's your same. I have not been into your establishment as of yet. But,
Yeah,
so
that was one of the issues that Craig and I discussed when he approached me on putting machines in there. Is I didn't want any machines on the bar for that very reason. It's an attraction for kids to go to it. So we avoided that. We put 2 in the waiting area where anybody waiting for a table is gonna sit, their kids can play while they're waiting, and then 2 on the opposite end of the restaurant. It so happens to be near the bar, but it's not at the bar.
Correct.
is there a restriction on the amount of machines you can have in there, or games you can have in there by the state?
By the state?
Oh, yeah, by the state.
No, usually that's left up to the individual town.
Okay, so you have 4, is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
So we can, Mr. Chair, I think if I understand correctly, we can limit the number of games that they have in the establishment.
Board is licensing authority, has a right to do as it wishes.
And how many are proposed?
4.
4.
2 of them are the same. They're side-by-side race car games, so two children can play at the same time. So it's really
You just
four
said it.
4 individual machines.
Is that what you're proposing, Jeff?
Yeah, I think we'll go with the 4, stay with the 4, and have it so that
They'd have
if
to
they
come
have to come back
if
for
they
more, if they want to do more, they'd have to come back for additional.
Well,
games.
that's what it says on the license right now. It only says for 4. So
Is that right? Okay.
they couldn't do any more than that once we approve, if we approve this.
That's all I want, yeah.
I think that's all we intended to do as a max anyway.
I I have a map here, if you wouldn't mind. Can you just point out to me where they're going? So this is your bar.
There's the egress door. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah,
That's all right. We'll get back to it. That's okay. So if I'm looking at the bar, it's to the left.
To the left where the egress door is, to the right of the door.
Okay,
And
great.
the other is when you walk in the front door, there's a designated waiting area.
Yep.
It's kind of boxed in, two are in that.
Okay.
Further questions?
No, no more, thank you.
Mr. Prisco?
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant an automatic amusement device license to Great American.
Yes,
Does anybody have any input?
would you like to,
Not me, but a couple people do.
Okay.
Can read the motion.
During the process, what are the names of the games? You mentioned the buck one.
Buck Hunter, Golden Tee, which is a golf game, and 2 sit-down kids racing driving groups.
Okay, so the 2 hunting ones?
One is a hunting one.
Okay, and it's called buck.
Buck Hunter, yep. And it's, again, it's, the game's been regulated by not only our industry, but it's been approved by the state of Massachusetts. It has to be granted an M number before I can put it in any location. It's actually the most popular video game out right now as far as in pubs and taverns.
The M number, is that like a movie rating, sort of?
No, it's just something that goes before the legislation of Massachusetts, and they either approve it or won't allow it. And it has, a lot of times when I go to licensing hearings of this, they'll want to make sure that there is an M number with each piece of equipment.
so it's basically an identification number
Correct.
for a specific piece of equipment?
Yep.
But you've mentioned different ratings. How are they how are the games?
That's done by our industry exclusively. It's got nothing to do with cities and towns or the state. We, as an industry, we took it upon ourselves years ago to kind of police ourselves and rate the equipment because there was such an outcry on, I mean, some of these video games were becoming very violent
So
and
the
out of hand.
state, but the state, in order for you to get an M number,
Yep,
has some criteria
correct,
that the game has to meet.
absolutely.
And what is that criteria?
I don't know how they actually come to that conclusion on whether it's granted or not. But I do know that there is that regulation in place.
Anyone else in the audience that wants to ask a question or raise a point? Chuck? Well, thank you. Any other comments before I ask for a motion? Mr. Prisco?
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant an automatic amusement device license to Great American Tavern, 303 Main Street, to expire December 31st, 2001, subject to all regulatory department requirements.
2000 and, what?
I'm sorry, 2011. Tired.
On the motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Yule. Any further comments from the board? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, and welcome to North Reading.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Might
Yeah,
stay
stay
right
right there.
Yeah.
Don't
Right
move.
there.
This one looks fun.
The next one is on victual license,
Yeah, alterations.
alterations. Explain what you're asking for.
Chuck, come up and help me with this one. When we were here initially to get our to his license and discussed the liquor license with you guys a while back. Something got lost in the shuffle as far as the outdoor seating area that was designated on our plans that were provided. And now we're back because we have realized that the liquor license did not include the use of any outdoor seating. When we signed our lease with the landlord, we went into that lease with the intention of having some outdoor seating, and it was designed on the plans and shown on the plans, but I think it got lost in an exhibit. So,
'Cause I know we discussed it
we
when we
did
were here the
discuss
first.
it.
We
It was, it didn't include any additional seats. It's within our 200 seats, so we're not trying to get more seats. We just wanted to be able to use the outdoor patio that we are paying rent for, so.
So
Any
what?
questions from anybody?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Mr. Purcell?
So what in the current license is missing? What wordage is missing?
Go ahead.
Outdoor patio.
Okay. And when I went through, Greg, the packet, and I read the department inputs, the first one was the fire department making, I assume it's a suggestion that crowd management training needs to be done or should be done. And then the other one was this site plan needed CPC approval. And when I went to look at CPC, what they wrote, I thought they were very matter of fact about their comments. And I'm not sure if I understood it all. It says, yes, all for, when it talked about the permits, it says, yes, all the permits were submitted for Great American Tavern. Then it says, only have been issued. So I'm not sure if there's more to that. So if you could maybe help me comment on the fire department one and the CPC one, I would appreciate it.
Fire department one is certain establishments that serve liquor under the law, depending upon whether they have live entertainment.
The acting chief is here.
I'm sorry, whether they must, because the board has to, this is something that came through the ABCC. I don't know whether this falls within that category. I mean, they have to have live entertainment. If you have live entertainment, then you gotta be subject to the rules of having a crowd manager. That's an ABCC requirement, a state requirement. We don't regulate that, we don't enforce that.
It says here, they may need crowd management training, consult building inspector.
Acting Chief Warnick is in the back. If you want clip.
Where's he hiding?
He's back there.
No, I can't speak on it. I can't speak on it.
June 1st, 2011 is a new CMR that comes into effect. The building inspector needs to determine whether or not the Great American Tavern falls under that jurisdiction. If they do, they need to complete the online training course that's offered through the state. That's it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
All right, and then the second one is, I guess I'm just not 100, I mean, this would, to me, would
Yeah,
fall
they-
more into
yeah.
CPC. I'm just more concerned with what their comments are, and especially when you read what the building inspector wrote, which he says needs CPC approval to the site plans, which leads me to the impression that you said the site plan that was originally submitted already had this layout in it.
Correct.
And it kind of leads me to believe that somebody thinks it wasn't. So I just like.
Let me ask you, how did you determine that you didn't have this seating or the license for this seating? Maybe we can work our way backwards.
So the day I got the license,
Right.
first thing I picked up was it didn't say outdoor seating. So I asked to see.
So you knew this months ago? It
Oh,
came to
yeah.
your attention months
Yeah.
ago? Okay. All right.
What he told me was it was the way the.
Who's he?
The, ABCC, the,
Investigator.
investigator for the ABCC.
Okay.
He actually came out, and he said it was the way the application from the town was written out. He only puts in what you guys write in, but our application stated to see Exhibit A, which was the floor plan showing the outdoor seating.
I recall we had that originally, and we
Oh, yeah.
talked about your
Yep.
outdoor seating when you were here.
Yeah.
You think maybe here, let's see, yes for tavern. All four have been issued, the only, this is a,
I should,
I think the word's supposed to be already, not only.
Oh, okay, all right.
yeah,
It's my guess, but.
All right,
yeah, that's what I would say too.